Good Attitudes to Practice for the UAP Movement, and Mathew 23:23, Part 2, by Lucus, Louize. By having those attitudes and using prayer, as we've stated in Part 1, we can help the Alliance and Confederation in small, realistic ways that helps out in the bigger picture. The bigger picture. There's a covert war happening on 23 planets. One of them is Earth. In a conflict between the Amigans, with their backers the Syndicate, and the Alliance, who is supported by the Confederation. The conflict is being monitored by a highly advanced extraterrestrial race known as the Moderators. They are judging if good is truly stronger than evil. The winner will be awarded this quadrant of the galaxy. The Amigans. Originally Confederation rebels that eventually devolved themselves into carrying evil parasitic imperialist tactics on planets they infiltrated and use as their parasitic host by encouraging the people of the planets they infiltrated to become amoral and use the governments and military to their advantage, eventually attacking Confederation worlds when the time is right, after staging a supposed attack by the Confederation. Please see an overview of the Megan situation. Section 3, Internet Bulletin Board Messages. Right here. They are zealously trying to prevent themselves from being exposed to their host planets. In a brilliant tactical move, the Alliance has purposely exposed them here on Earth through the Alliance Terror site. Please see Overview of the Megan Situation, Section 2, Letters to Gabriel Green, Message Date 2/24/89 from the Terror files. Is this one right here? Which therefore interferes with the Amiga manipulation of their host planet, and is also how this article has this information. For more information on the Amigans in general, please see Overview of the Amigan Situation in general, which would be this article here. From the excellent Terror file site. Okay. The Confederation. The Confederation are contacts of George Adamski, Howard Menger, and others. They are not from Venus. That was memory manipulation against Adamski and others by the evil Amigans through imprinting. Earth is in Confederation territory. The Confederation are peace-loving and egalitarian. Please see the Terror site in general and books by George Adamski, Howard Menger, and Stefano Brescia. The Alliance. The Alliance are peace-loving and hesitate to instigate war. Yet when war happens, they are pragmatic and excellent tacticians. They are friends to the Confederation and often work with them. It is the Alliance military covert operations that are carrying out the conflict with the Amigans. For more information, please see the excellent Terror file site. The Syndicate are a group similar to a large underground criminal organization. They are using the Amigans as a test to see if they can defeat the Alliance on the 23 planets through their financial and other non-military backing of the Amigans. For more information, please see Overview of the Amigan Situation on the Terror site. Calrans. A large authoritarian military group who are enemies to both the Confederation and Alliance. And since the 80s, they have allied with the Amigans. More information can be seen in the Calran Empire information on the Terror site. Moderators. A highly advanced race. They are judging the conflict to see if good is truly stronger than evil. The winner will be awarded this quadrant of the galaxy. For more information, please see the moderators overview of the meeting situation, section 2, letters to Gabriel Green, message 3/28/1997. Let me see. Here. The Mathew 23:23 system. But you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. In my humble opinion, the Confederation are God's mercy because they help people in their personal lives by relating their thoughts and prayers with their registering discs and help people to make it into Confederation worlds in the next life with their memory and personality intact of this life. Please see threads of light to you and inside the spaceships. The Confederation are not from Venus or other local planets. That was memory manipulation against George Adamski, Nelson, and others by the medians. Please see the spurious contacts files on the Terror Core Files website. Spurious contacts files is, let's see. Right here. Okay. There is no such thing as light beings or other junk science. There are not 12 planets in each star system and other nonsense. Also, the CTRs were not robots, but some were autonomous. The undercover Confederation friend said they were God's mercy, alluding to agreement of this theory of Mathew 23:23 system. The Alliance is God's justice that physically removes the Omegans from Earth. I personally know the Alliance has involved the UAP movement, and how I know will never be revealed. However, anyone can see the Alliance work by the only inklings we have is going on is we find in between the lines the news of the day. From the overview of Megan situation, letters to Gabriel Green 22586 from the excellent Terror Profile site. See that one? Yep, there it is. Okay. Let's see. Regarding the UAP movement, which Alliance is working behind the scenes in an underground manner to make the subject of UAP more credible through mainstream media. The Earth people are God's faith who put their faith in Jesus as well as put their faith in God's mercy, the Confederation, and God's justice, which is the Alliance. The Mathew 23:23 system is mutually beneficial. When one group is successful, the other two groups are indirectly positively affected. The more each group is independently successful, the more there's an upward spiral for all three groups. Comparative advantage. Comparative advantage only works when the Confederation and Alliance are relatively equal technologically to the Omegans, whom they are at war with. Since they are relatively equal technologically, it is important to have the edge. How can the Alliance and Confederation have the edge in this situation? They can take advantage of the nature of evil. By definition, evil is a violation of consent. By a violation of consent, the Omegans place guaranteed burdens and responsibilities upon themselves by trying to control the host, and the rebellion caused as a result of the violation of consent. This is why the Omegans often resort to good cop, bad cop methods and nose thumbing to try to control emotional responses. This puts them into a position of being parasitic, trying to control their host. They must place their hope and faith and power in the host they are trying to control in hopes the host will act the way they want. This can be exploited. Good does not have this problem because good respects consent. People can rebel against good, but is not guaranteed responsibilities and burdens like evil. The way any good group or bad group control the opposition in general can be expressed in a general formula of what I call the 3 pillars. This general formula is the MTC, manipulate, trap, control cycle. These 3 pillars can be found in the Psalms 10, 12, 18, 35, and 37, which I see as God's general advice in general warfare. The MTC cycle. 3 pillars MTC, taking advantage of the nature of evil. Once technology is evenly matched between the 2 groups, the weakness of evil can be exploited due to the burdens placed upon itself through violation of consent. As a result, the Amigas must evolve themselves into being parasitic, placing their hopes and power in the host they are violating consent against, helping them act the way they want. In order to do this, they must manipulate. A way to counter Amiga and parasite manipulation is to use the 3 pillars, which is expressed as a manipulation, trap, and control, MTC. It consists of manipulate, discredit the target, trap. The more the target is discredited, the more the target is trapped by the manipulation, control. The more the target is discredited and trapped, the more the host is controlled. The MTC cycle was proved. Is proved to work on an individual level when an undercover Amigan parasite tried to harass me as a bad cop, and I did Mark 11:25 system. The undercover Confederation operatives also helped, and the end result was the undercover Amigan was discredited, trapped, because the more they tried to harass them, the stupider they looked. And the more they harassed, the more they were discredited to the Confederation, and the Confederation also purposely intimidated them to defeat them physically and eventually remove them from my life, all the while they were trying to harass and making it worse for themselves. Another undercover Amigan also indirectly admitted the MTC cycle works in a general sense. The Amigans can be trapped using the MTC cycle on 3 levels: individual level, the global level, and the collective level. The individual level. Mark 11:25-26 method. Mark 11:25-26 states, "Whenever you stand praying, if you have anything against anyone, forgive him, so your Father who is in heaven will also forgive your transgressions and wrongdoings. If you do not forgive, neither will your Father in heaven forgive your transgressions." Whenever the Amigans harass a person by using gang stalking or electronic harassment, they can use the Mark 11:25-26, which is to forgive and pray for what you want. When you forgive, you neutralize the Amiga attempts at manipulating your emotions. And also, as Mark 11:25-26 states, forgiveness cleans your karma, so you can use the Amigan harassment in order to spiritually evolve, because the Amigans unintentionally help you to have constant perfect karma, because you can always use the harassment to clean your karma. And pray for the Confederation and Alliance to be successful. Don't think or visualize the prayer or forgiveness, simply use your intent. If the harassment is subtle and you are unsure if it is harassment or not, forgive the Amigans for putting you in a situation where you have to second guess. Then, as usual, pray for the Confederation and Alliance to be successful. Science has shown prayer really has an effect. Please see a randomized controlled trial of the effects of remote intercessory prayer on outcomes in patients admitted to the coronary care unit. W.S. Harris et al. Archives of Internal Medicine, I believe. 1999. The Mark 11:25-26 method. The soul is in the stomach. Proverbs 20-27 and John 7:38 KJV. So focus on your stomach and the mind becomes more clear. 2 Timothy 4:5 NLT. And the clear mind will really affect others. Ecclesiastes 10:20, and please see the study Transcendental Medication Program and Crime Rate Change in a sample of 48 cities from the Journal of Criminal Justice, Volume 4, page 25 to 45, 1981, from Sloan T. Letman edition. Then, A. As told to me by an undercover Confederation operative and friend, do not visualize but use intent. The undercover Confederation friend told me to see and feel the light of the Holy Spirit fill and clean and heal your body. So each time you breathe in, use your intent to have the light of the Holy Spirit fill, clean, and heal your body. B. When you breathe out, use your intent to forgive and use your intent. Do not visualize. And use your intent to pray for the Confederation and Alliance to be successful, and it will really have an impact. The more you do this, the weaker the evil becomes, and a little bit easier it is for the job. The job is made for the Confederation and the Alliance. Using intent instead of visualization is important because when you use intent, you can still go to work, school, etc., and still be able to focus on your work and school because you're not visualizing, you're only using intent. And therefore, this Mark 11, 25, 26 method can be used at work or school or wherever. Here we have a formula describing what to do. H is the harassment. So when the Megans try to harass, use the S stands for the system. So whenever you're harassed, you use the Mark 11, 25, 26 system. And then G stands for gain, so then you gain. And the Megans, once the system is used against them, they always try to do different tactics like downplay it, or ignore it and continue and harass, or they try to deflect, or they go with it and try to find new opportunities to try to manipulate you, or they attempt to belittle. So these are all tactics the Megans can use when you use the system, but it doesn't matter because it's still all just forms of harassment. So then you go back to using the system again and forgive them for trying to counter your method, counter you forgiving them and praying for the Confederation and Alliance. And then once again you gain from them, and the Megans go back to harassment again, and the cycle repeats. Yet you're always gaining and discrediting, and the Megans are always losing, being discredited. It states right here, when the Megans harass, use gang stalking and electronic harassment, simply use the Mark 11, 25, 26 system. They are often forced to have only 5 ways to respond: by downplaying, ignoring, continue to harass, deflect, change the subject, try to discredit, or to go along with the situation, to find opportunities to exploit, or they try to belittle. It does not matter what method the Megans use, simply use the Mark 11, 25, 26 system and gain. Then repeat. When everything your enemy does is to your benefit, you win, even if you don't kill them. The undercover Megan operatives have indirectly admitted on 3 different occasions this Mark 11, 25, 26 system works against their harassment system. Never physically take up weapons against the Megans, you will be killed, as noted in Mass Conducts by Brescia and TerraCore files. Combat the Megans mostly on a psychological level. That's how we can fight them and win using this method. Let the physical technology and physical weapons combat be taken care of by the Confederation and the Alliance. They are the professionals. The same system can be carried out globally against the Megans, the Mathew 23-23 system, as seen here on a global level. There's the Megan operations, and then there's the Earth people using the teachings of Jesus, and they gain from it because they can forgive the Megans and then pray. The Confederation gains from the Megan operations because the Confederation can discredit them as parasites, and the more they carry out the operations, the more they're discredited as parasites due to their nature and the nature of the program. And then the Alliance they can exploit the Megan program because the Megans don't want to be exposed as parasites to the host planets, so it allows the Alliance to press harder. So all 3 groups gain, as the G stands for. And then once again, the Megans continue to do operations, which once again continues Earth people to gain, the Confederation to gain, and the Alliance to gain, and repeat. This is a formula of the cycle using the Mathew 23-23 system. It says right here, in the global situation, the more the Earth people follow the teachings of Jesus, the harder it is for the Mugans to manipulate their host planet to their own ends, and they gain out of it, the Earth people. The more the Mugans carry out the operations, the more they are discredited by the Confederation as parasites due to the nature of their operations and their existence. The Confederation also uses registering discs to read thoughts and will help out people by answering their prayers by helping them reincarnate to Confederation worlds in the next life with the memory intact with their technology. The Alliance exploits the Mugan program because the Mugans are zealously trying to hide their existence from the Earth people because they do not want to be exposed as parasites to their host planet. This allows the Alliance the ability to push harder against the Mugans than the situation had not been the case. Theoretically, the same system can be applied on a galactic level. The Mugan operation could happen, and the Confederation discredits them as Mugans, discredits the Mugans as parasites, and they gain from the discrediting, while the Alliance can push harder against the Mugans on those 22 other planets, because the Mugans don't want to expose themselves as parasites on those planets either, so it could push harder against them and gain from that. And of course, the Mugans just continue their operations and repeat. This scenario just deals with the Confederation and the Alliance. The more the Mugans carry out their operations, the more they're discredited by the Confederation the more they're discredited by the Confederation as Mugan parasites due to the nature of their program and their existence. The Confederation also uses registering discs to read thoughts and will help people by answering their prayers by helping people reincarnate Federation worlds next life and their intact with technology. The Alliance exploits the Mugan program because the Mugans are zealously trying to hide their existence from their people because they do not want to expose themselves as parasites to the host planet. This allows the Alliance to push harder against the Mugans, therefore they have the edge. Transformation of a Mugan value into service. In all three levels, the more the Mugans carry out their operations, the more value they create due to the unintentional service they do for their enemies. Whether it is being used by the Earth people using the Mark 11-25-26 system, or whether it is the more they exist and operate, the more they're discredit themselves among the Confederation, and the fact that they are parasites, they do not wish to expose themselves to the host planet, allowing the Alliance to press harder. Since the Mugans are within an MTC cycle in all three levels, the more they operate, the worse things get, leading to a situation of what I call tendency of the rate of the Mugans to fail. Trough. A group that is used and discredited while it is losing is not likely to win. The end result is the Mugans empirically demonstrate they are hypocritical parasites that unintentionally give away comparative advantage. They are already discredited among the Confederation and Alliance. Perhaps the Syndicate will see that the Mugans are financial parasites because they are simply financing the Mugans so they can continue to discredit themselves as they lose within the system. Perhaps the Calrians can see them as tactical parasites, considering all they do is discredit themselves while they are losing within the system, and the Calrians are right about that the first time by not wanting to resort to their tactics. For more information, see the Calrian Empire, 23rd December 1967. Let me see. Find that one. Oh, here's a study about prayer has an effect. And here's a study about clear mind has an effect on others from a distance. Here's where it talks about the Mugans are trying to zealously hide their presence from Earth on the Terracore files. Here's where I was talking about how it gives the Alliance the edge on the Terracore files site. Let's see. And the Alliance is winning against the Mugans, as stated here in the RK files, questions and answers. Here's where it mentions the Calrians. didn't want to resort to Megan tactics. Okay. The moderators maybe could see that good is stronger than evil because in a situation where good and evil are relatively equal. In regards to manpower, technology, and resources, and tactics, etc., good has the comparative advantage over evil once everything is generally evenly matched between good and evil. The weakness of evil can be exploited due to the burden it places upon itself through violation of consent. As a result, the Amegans must evolve themselves into parasites, placing their hopes and power in the host they are violating consent against, hoping they will act the way they want. In order to do this, they must manipulate. This weakness can be exploited by use of the 3 pillars, which is expressed as manipulation, trap, and control. With the MTC formula, the more the Amegans try and manipulate without consent, the more they discredit, trap themselves, and get controlled as a result. Therefore, in my humble opinion, the Amegans are perhaps put into a discredited position of being hypocritical parasites that unintentionally gives away comparative advantage to the enemies on a galactic scale. The Mathew 23:23 system came to me through God's guidance after an event with undercover Amegans. I was in a parking lot surrounded by gang-stalking undercover Amegan operatives, like always, when I had thoughts that the Amegans were going to get punished by God for being evil. The Amegan registering disc read my thoughts and relayed my thoughts to the Amegan undercover operatives, and they were laughing at my thoughts of God punishing them. Later, God guided me to 3 verses in the Bible. These 3 verses represent God's justice plan to limit the Amegans, in my opinion. Verse 1, God's intent. Galatians 6:7. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. God's intent in this particular justice plan is to mock Amegans and make them reap what they sow by turning the tables against them and to the benefit of the Confederation and Alliance. Verse 2, God's plan. Psalm 54:55 NLT. May the evil plans of my enemies be turned against them. Do as he promised and put an end to them. God's justice plan against the Amegans is to make everything they do counterproductive while they are gotten rid of. Confederation can discredit them as parasites for their way of life and tactics, while the Earth people use the Amegans to their benefit with the Mark 11:25-26 system, as the Alliance slowly eliminates the Amegans. A group that is discredited while it's losing is not likely to win. Verse 3, God's plan carried out in the real world. Mathew 23:23, but you have neglected the more important matters of law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. The Confederation represents God's mercy, the Alliance, God's justice, and the people, God's faith. For to have faith in both the Confederation and the Alliance, God's mercy and justice. It is for this reason I believe God's intent for Earth is to have reconciliation between Sector Command and Project Terra. It is therefore my humble opinion God wants to use Earth people of the future to join the Alliance and Confederation to take part in helping to turn the conflict further against the Amegans and further to the benefit of the Alliance and Confederation. I think the Alliance brother Captain Elor is correct when describing the situation of Earth people, which I believe God intends to use to his benefit. Earthman seems to be able to grasp control of any situation and turn it to their advantage, states the gentleman brother Captain Elor, from A Trip to the Moon, Part 1, Part 3, 3-4, December 1966, from the excellent Jericho Files. Like Brother Bob, I too am impressed by the humbleness and down-to-earth frankness of the wonderful space friends. I hope the future Earth people don't disappoint with faith in God. I'm certain the future people of Earth will be an excellent asset to God and his plans with the Alliance and Confederation. If this system is helpful in some small way, I take no credit for it. All credit goes to God for his guidance, whom I am humbled to serve. Sorry this was so long. I didn't think it would be this long, but I hope you find it of some interest. Thank you and have a good day. God bless.